dream is green, and I don't mean material things. Freedom to the land, child, woman, and man, as we take up for what we stand. Better days and better nights, as we stand and unite. We're one and the same. Why is it so hard not to point and to blame? Better sheet, get our houses in order, and we'll see the peace. There are steps that we must take if we wanna see.
I see my people rising, no more stopping us. A couple billion acres across America, us. The peace rose for the sake of us.
The sake of us, the sake of us.
I see my people rising, no more stopping us. A couple billion acres across America, us. The peace rose for the sake of us. No more failing, telling being beneath. What a beautiful moment, and a sight I can't wait to see. Even if I miss it, at least I wasn't part of the mission. Changing lives of men, women, and children. All glory goes to He that causes us all to be. Oh, and if they're thinking we can, we show them that just as long as we stand. A monument, we the people can't be broken as long as we stay focused. I see my people rising, no more stopping us. A couple billion acres across America, us. The peace rose for the sake of us. For the sake of us. I see my people rising, no more stopping us. A couple billion acres across America, us. The peace rose for the sake of us. I see my people rising, yeah.
Shalom, shalom, shalom lekulam. אני מתפלל שהכל בסדר איתכם היום. I pray all is well with you all today. All right, so why am I here? I'm doing a little live. I entitled it Feast Day and Degrees. Feast Day and Degrees, two different topics, and it's going to be brief. It shouldn't be long. I do plan on, me and my Isha plans to come on a little more often. There's a lot to be said, a lot to be talked about, a lot to be discussed, and we just want to, bring it out for you all. So the first topic, feast days, right? I put a post up. Some of you may have seen it. I put a post up, and some of you may have seen it. All right. I'm going to go to it really quickly, and I'm going to share it. I'm going to go to it quickly, and I'm going to share it, and we'll go through it together. All right. I think that this is needed. This little short video is needed because there are people that want to know. There are people that are more simple than others. And when I say simple, I'm not saying it in a bad way at all. Some people like just the simple things. It's fine. As long as I know this, I am okay. And guess what? You are, but there are some that may want to know a little bit more in regards to what they're doing, the path that they're taking. And, that's our job to bring it out if we are aware of it or if we know it. Or it's our job if we don't know it, but we know someone that does. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing that screen for a minute. Pull this up so you all can see it. Give me a second. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're on Facebook right now, if you're on YouTube right now, make sure you like and you subscribe if you haven't Make sure you like and subscribe. So I'm putting it up right now. Let me see what you all can see. That is really far. So let me zoom in. Got to be a way to zoom in. Zoom in. This right here. Let's see. Okay, that zooms in. All right, let's see how it looks for you all. All right, you should be able to. If you're on your phone, go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. All right, so here we go. So the post is dealing with feast days. All right, we're dealing with feast days. I zoomed in a little bit more, so that should be good. So peace to you all. I come in peace. What are your thoughts? So let's clear this up. Feast days nugget. So Moed. And I'm going to bring out a picture so you all can see this. So some people say Moed, some people say Moed, right? Sounds the same, but it's a little different. So Moed literally means appointment. If you had to sum it all up, a Moed is an appointed time. A Moed can be in relation to a feast, but its meaning is appointed. All right. And I'm going to show you all that. It is literally appointed. There are many places that it may say feast on certain things, but those are associated with the time, like appointed. But we'll get into it. So Moed literally means appointed in its singular form, or one appointed time. The reason I put one appointed time, so you know that it's singular. So appointed. And the Hebrew word by itself, it doesn't mean technically time. Time will be zaman, right? Or sha'ah for hour. But it doesn't say that. Moed is just is specifically dealing with appointments, okay? Or appointment. Moedim is dealing with appointments. So it says, which is why we call it Moedim, literally appointments. Or you can say appointed time, right? When addressing more than one, as found in Vayikra or Leviticus. For those with the school of thought about cooking, so the topic isn't about cooking. I just wanted you all to know that if you see this post later and you are friends on Facebook, it's not about cooking. But I wanted to bring that out because I've been seeing a lot of posts and things on that nature regards to this, and I'm taking this time and this moment to kind of bring this out because a lot of us, we do want to take on the cultural aspect of being Bnei Yisrael, or some people may say Yasharala, or some people may say Yasharel. But the objective is to get as close to pre-exilically or culturally righteously as we can, right? So let's get to it. Let's finish it up. For those with the school of thought about cooking, I want to address it from the majority's lens. You are allowed to cook. Let's keep going. Don't stop there. Which makes it understandable why we always call these Moedim, the ones that you can cook on, feast days. It makes sense because, let's face it, when we come together in happiness, we want to be festive. So that is understandable. My job is just to show you the purpose from a Hebraic cultural sense in the command or scriptural context of Vayikra 23. It wouldn't be recognized as such. It wouldn't be recognized as feast. Not all of them, anyway. Let's keep going. The only two that you cannot cook on in the sense of feasts or festivities are Shabbat, right? Shabbat was mentioned in Vayikra 23. And Yom HaKippurim, not Yom Kippur. For those that really want to learn Hebrew and go more culturally, you won't find Kippur in the text. But if you say Kippur, nothing wrong with it. But the reason it's labeled as in Hebrew Yom HaKippurim is because for many of us, there are some that do not do this, by the way. But for many of us, we have a lot of atoning to do. It's not just one thing, it's a couple subjects, it's affecting multiple people, right? So that's why it literally should be translated as Day of Atonement. But they wouldn't all be considered festivals in the sense of when Echwat tells us to conduct a pilgrimage. I don't know if many people are teaching this, and they may. And without knowing the term Chag, or it being a pilgrimage, traveling, you all still should understand that these 3 feasts that I'm about to mention is dealing with traveling and a whole bunch of people coming together. A whole bunch of people coming together, right? And when you think of a whole bunch of people coming together, we identify it as being festive, a festival, because it's a lot of people there. So that makes sense. We get it. But let's keep going. To meet 3 times a year where all males, including families of the man, come together. It wasn't just men going by themselves. If people teach that, that's fine. The instruction, the commandment was for the men to make sure that they made it every, all those 3 Moedim, those appointed times. But they typically, and they would come with their family, of course. The other Moedim can be conducted at your residence or local congregations, right? There is nothing wrong with everyone coming together and meeting up on the Moedim during the other appointments. That's what I meant to say, right? Or the other appointed times that aren't the 3, but there is a distinction. There is a distinction with all of these Moedim. I understand that the English says these are my feasts. I get it. All right. But let's keep going. The places that specifically call it feast day in English translation should be Chag, right? Or even pilgrimage. You could use that, but it's a pilgrimage, a festive pilgrimage or festivities, right? Are only 3 of the Moedim: Passover, right, or Pesach, or you all may say Pesach, and Chag Matzot, Shavuot, Sukkot. So these 2 are typically together, but these are the only 3 in Leviticus or Vayikra 3 that's literally called or translated as a feast. But what about the other ones, right? These 3 are your Chagim. If using English, these are the only days we should call a feast or festival. Now, you could call non-Chag Moedim Moedim. You can call them feasts in casual speech if you mean a celebratory or sacred day, but it's not biblically precise. And the idea for us as Bnei Yisrael, and this is just a moment of trying to be real, and I know you all can relate. We're trying our best to serve the Most High. We're trying our best to learn. And I don't even want to say trying our best. We can do it. We have to get in our mind that we can actually do this. Trying is there, but we shouldn't lead off with saying I'm trying, right? We should do. And then if we don't accomplish, we should do better, get better, improve, right? With the understanding that we can get there. But we want to learn, understand the culture, understand the context of things, and a little bit of the language. I'm a Hebrew teacher. We have a couple group classes that we do for the children and the adults, but I don't force anyone to learn Hebrew. You all won't see me on the posts or anywhere saying you need to learn Hebrew. I don't do that. I understand that you can understand the text even if you don't know Hebrew. Now, I got to be careful when I say that, because that's not a green card or a get out of jail card to say, well, see, we don't need it, so I know what I'm talking about. Nope. If you can't speak the language, then you have to at least understand context, consistency of text, cultural understanding, cultural anthropology. All these things matters. And if we could throw away the terms if we think those terms was given by us, I'm cool with it, because that's going to go into the degrees conversation after this, and I'm going to bring up. But the concept is still the same. We have to understand the context of certain things, and it will help us understand what we're even talking about right now. Okay. In the context of Vayikra 3, there are only 3 places that it says in the translation, the English translation, that is feast. All right. This isn't to say don't say it. So let's keep reading. Maybe we should begin to call only the Chag festivals. Maybe we should only call those 3. We could call them feasts. That way, to differentiate them if we truly want to keep saying feast days. But for those that aren't those 3 that the scripture calls feasts, we can call them appointed day, right? Or appointed celebration, whatever. Because if not, it becomes misleading. So I want to bring this out. You all should be able to see this. Let me see what happens if I click this. See what happens when I click that. Okay, you all see that. Let me try to zoom in. I want to show you, give you an example. Okay, it's not going to zoom in. It's not going to zoom in. Hopefully you all can see this. Okay. With Ed Barit, Akim et Yitzchak. We know that's talking about Isaac. Esher Teleg Lech, right? Sarah, and it says Lemeod Hazeh Beshana, right? So the translation right here says, "But I will establish my covenant with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you at this time next year." If you go into the Hebrew, and I don't have it pulled up, I could go ahead and get it pulled up for you all if you want me to. This is the word you're going to see, moed. Moed. This isn't the word for feast, but it can be used for that feast if dealing with a appointed time. That's when you will see a translation feast for that Hebrew word moed. But right here, this has nothing to do with feast. This has everything to do with when the child is going to be born. So it says, whom Sarah shall bear to you at this time next year, not this feast next year, but this what? Appointed time. At this particular time. So this is a time that you're going to have it when you go to work and you have or if you have a doctor's appointment, they give you a time, what day, what date, I should say, what month, what year. That's an appointment. So moed by itself is literally appointment. How can I prove that? Let's go to this. You probably can't see it. I'll read it for you. In English, it says, "And Elohim said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and signs, and for seasons, and for days of years." Look at this word. It says, ule moedim. Moedim, this is the word. You're going to see moed, you're going to see moedim when it's talking about multiple in Leviticus 23. So yes, the translation, I can take this down now. The translation in English is saying feast. Because why? The Hebrew itself is going to say chag. When we see that word feast in Y=23, it's going to say chag, which is all the people coming together those 3 times a year that the Most High commanded us to come together. Oh, it's going to be festive because so many people are here to observe and follow the instruction of the Most High. That's why it's saying feast. But the word itself is only dealing with appointment or appointed time. That's it. That's why I took you to Bereshit. I think it was 17 and 11, whatever chapter it was, to show you how it was used, just talking about with Sarah about to have a child the next year. All right. So I wanted to bring that out. So, oh man, Chief Prince, man, I don't know if you could come on, but if you let me know, I'm sending you this link. If not, I'll try to go ahead and do it. You actually going to be brought up on this topic. So if there's any questions or comments concerning the Moedim, please let me know. This was not to make anyone feel bad. If you want to still say feast, guess what? I rock with you because I understand that it's a festive time. You're coming together. You can still cook on these days. I get it. But we are Bnei Yisrael. We are trying to come under the understanding that our forefathers and foremothers had. And how they spoke, how they used these words. So we, if you're pushed and motivated or inspired to start using appointed time or appointment, for these particular dates that we have, I encourage you to. If not, that's cool too. You can say feast. I have nothing against it. If you're just coming in right now, please make sure you like, you share, and you subscribe. If you missed the first, where's the time at? Oh, the first 20 minutes make sure you watch it back. We're going into the second topic. Chief Prince, you said Kane. I don't know if that's for me to send this to you, or if you're just going to, chill out and watch me do, listen to me do what I do. But I would love to have you on if you can, but I know you're really busy. You all make sure too. Matter of fact, let me show y'all. Make sure you all reach out to Chief Prince Zabulon. Benlewi Hideki. Okay, he said bring it in. All right, cool. I'm about to bring him on, you all. This is my mentor, a teacher of mine, a person that ordained me and elevated me over the years through the different offices to where I'm finally at now as a Nasi Karashio Chief Prince. I'm going to send it to you on Facebook if that's okay, through Messenger. I don't send that to you since you're probably on your computer anyway. But this topic is going to be interesting, you all. So if you're tuning in, just stick with us. This won't be long. It shouldn't be long. But, we are, I wasn't expecting. I didn't know he was going to be here. So we're going to see. I try to keep it short. All right, I sent you the link, Chief Prince. So if you don't know who he is, you all, this is Zabulon Benlewi Hideki. I'm going to, while he's coming, I'm going to show you all something. You all probably saw me. If you are, me and my Isha are friends on social media. Oh, there I go. Here we go. I'm going to share this screen so y'all can see something. I'm going to share. You probably, there it is right there. As he's coming, I'm going to just, all right. You all should be able to see this. Let me see. Can you see it? Well, no, you can't see that. All right. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you all to see it while I'm waiting on him to pop in. All right. All right, what happened? Okay, that's him in right now, but I'm going to go do this really quickly. All right, that's the post right there. Let me pull him in really quickly, you all. Go here. All right. Shalom, Chief Prince.
Hallelujah. Shalom Barak Bashem Yah. What's good, bro?
Nothing much. Just wanted to talk to them about the conversation me and you had. Real quick, you all. I put this post up.
Hold on. Are you hearing a echo?
No.
Okay, I'm hearing an echo. Like, hold on 1 second. Oh, okay. That's on me. That's on me.
All right. All right.
All right. How about now?
Yeah, I don't hear no echo.
Okay, yeah, because now I'm actually on live with you, but then I also had the YouTube playing at the same time. Okay, that's my bad.
All right.
What's good, Adoni?
Just I'm gonna show them your books real quick. Not really go into it, but just show them who you are a little bit. You can speak a little bit if you want to. Then let's get into it. We're gonna get into the conversation, and I'll tell them what the conversation was before we get into it. But really quickly, you all. He made this post the other day, man, and it says the authoritative collection of works by Chief Prince Zabulon Benlewi Hideki. This man has, this is 5, 10, 15, 20, about 23 books, but it's more. But these are some amazing books, you all. Historian of historians of our time and a prolific author, filled with wisdom, given by the Most High, of course. And, I really suggest, and I encourage you all to get in tune to him, you all. I don't know if he want to give you all the Facebook or what he want to send to you all, but get in tune with his authorship. It's amazing. All right. Let's get to it. So if you have anything you want to put in the chat, Chief Prince, if you want to put like your information, please, so they can see it. But while you're doing that, so this is what happened, you all. And I hope the first part of this was pretty cool as far as the feast. I hope that you learned something from what I brought out, or took a little bit of whatever was good for you. So the conversation was this. I had a conversation with a gentleman. He may watch this. I'm not gonna say his name. The conversation was actually good. He's a good brother. He's doing phenomenal work, for the people, for his family, things of that nature. And he was telling me what he was getting a degree in. And I've been battling this for the last, man, Chief Prince, like since I know you, right?
Okay,
Every
indeed.
2 years I might bring it up because, and it shouldn't. Now I've had about 3 years now, I want to say 2 or 3 years now, where it hasn't been came in the top of my mind. It hasn't really been anything that was of importance to me now, because I'm the same type that will say, you know, we have a lot of people in our community that say, we need to go to academia. You know, what's your source? I'm going to go to academia, those that's outside of us. And I'm like, well, look, I understand that the Most High utilized them for us to get to where we're at right now, but we're supposed to be at a place once we come at this point or come to this point, and start reestablishing who we were. We are authoritative in this conversation, especially if you, or in these topics, especially if you put the years in, if you were guided by those that were equipped, that truly had great understanding in these topics. Now, and the Most High starts to use you after the three things I mentioned first, you know, because we should have elders and those before us that can help guide us and get us to the point where we're standing on their shoulders. So once we're there, now why don't we create our own academia? I just showed you Chief Prince Abula has over 25 books that's published. He has more, but published. And as many people in our community that are authors, as many people in our community that are equipped, that have been in it for years, some people that may not have been in it for years, but it's under the tutelage of somebody that has what's the word I'm looking for? Can't think of the word I'm looking for, but registry and things of that nature. That's not the word, but that's still synonymous. So they have these things. So you may have people that are New Testament. You may have people that are Tanakh only. You may have people that are Torah only. And in each one of these communities, you have scholars, righteous scholars, right? We can form our own academia, even with different point of views, but the different point of views is good for the people that's in that school of thought. So why am I saying this? This is going to lead to you, Chief Prince Abula. I got myself to that point, saying, okay, we don't need that. We are established. The Most High is using. So I had a conversation with the gentleman, and I was like, man, you know, I have about, I think I have, I don't know, 3 or 4 ordinations and a certificate, even Israel certificate, and then another Hebrew linguist one. And it's like, what I was battling was, should I go back to school to get these degrees? That was my battle. And then the only reason not to learn, which you still will learn, but it was more so because our people, they look at the relevance of your knowledge or whatever based upon the degree that is given by the United States. Now, we have nothing against degrees, you know what I'm saying? Because Chief Abula himself, he'll tell you a little bit about himself in a minute. He already, you know, he can talk about me. He has that already. But that's what I was battling with, you know. But I have a certain stance in different subjects and knowledge that even can supersede those that have those degrees. So I'm talking to the gentleman. He was like, well, man, he said, man, that's amazing what you have been through as far as with the ordinations and the certificates and stuff. He said, the only thing that sucks about it, because, you know, your works, you and your Isha, your wife works and what you're all doing for the community, blah, blah, blah. It's there. It shows that you know what you're talking about. It shows that you're equipped, even with those that have degrees, past them in certain instances. But the crazy thing is what you have is just paper. It wouldn't be recognized nationally. And this is when, and he didn't say that with ill will. I don't believe he did. I think he was just saying like, man, you know, that kind of, and my response to him before I reached out to Chief Prince Abula was, you know what's crazy? I said a king, I'm not calling myself that, a king or chief of a tribe from another, you know, island or whatever, if he come over here to the States, he's still that. And nationally, he would still be that because that's what he gained through pedigrees and things like that. So I was even battling there. That's when I called Chief Prince Abula and wanted to hear his thoughts. And he was bringing out some stuff. I said, we got to go live. We have to encourage our people because I think our people battle with this too. I think that the degrees are important. We understand that the degrees is for you to have certain jobs, better opportunities, and things like that. But still to work for somebody, by the way, but better opportunities and things like that. There's nothing wrong with that. So when you're ready, Chief Principal, I don't know if you want to come in, pause, bring out your version of it.
Hey, yo.
Bring out the version of it, and that's New York, so I got to make sure you're New Yorker. I got to make sure. Go ahead.
Kane, first and foremost, of course, giving praises, honor, and thanks to the Most High Power Yah, the power of Abraham, friend of Yitzchak, and the majesty of Yaakov. And of course, subsequently, the 12 sons that gave birth to the dispensation of time that we're now in. So all thanks and glory goes to Yah. This is always going to be a difficult conversation. And to be honest with you, I'm not of the belief that any one answer is correct. Right. Now that's with like 30 years of ping-ponging the idea in my head, because in different points of my life, I've had different viewpoints of it. When I was still in my my rebel years, in my teens, whatever like that, even though I was going to school and stuff like that, but it was like, in the truth, you're like, man, we don't need, back then, we don't need Esau's, Esau's education, or we don't need Yafet's, education. You know what I'm saying? We do what we do, whatever like that. And that is a truism. One of the,
sorry for cutting your wisdom. Can you let them? So he said can you let them know just a little bit about you, like real brief? How long you been in this path?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I've been in the.
And I hope you didn't lose your wisdom. I cut you off.
Oh no! I already got stuff lined up. So
okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I've been in this, and I got to be very careful how I say this. I've been in the understanding of being a Hebrew Israelite since November 22nd, 1993. Now, as far as being in the walk of Torah, that's a different story. I would say, honestly, 1995 is when I started kind of getting my head together. But I knew I was Israel since 1993, and even had glimpses of it when, since 1988, studying the works of Malachi Z. York and a lot of the Pan-African materials from that day and time, Dr. Ishaka Musa Barashango, native of Chicago, mind you. Yeah. So a lot of the material from the 1980s, things that I'd seen, but it didn't resonate yet. So I would say that, yeah, I mean, as far as the full awakening of trying to search for that which was unknowable to me at that time, it's pushing 35 years. No, more than that. 1988, whatever it is. But it's pushing. It's in the, I'm pushing towards 4 decades, almost. So yeah, I've been around for a while, and that's not necessarily a good thing, because there's a lot of us that's been around for a long time, and pretty much only have like 2 years worth of information. So and I say that respectfully, because at one point in time we were all full of crap. But so with that said, because and you know me, I'm not really big on going into.
Yeah, no, I just wanted, when you had said the year, I just wanted them to know.
Right. Just some context.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, so in those days, even when I was at at college, late 92, early 93 at, Wilkes University in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, when I was going for my world history degree. Even while doing that, I still had the thinking of this whole, getting knowledge from, the Pale Man, or we call them different things, the Pale Man or Leviathan, Yaphet, Esau, whatever, all these different terms. The idea of having to go get a degree from them in order to prove who we are made no sense. Now, if you're going to go get a degree in medicine or things of that nature, then, oh yeah, by all means, go do your thing so that you can provide for your family, for yourself, for your family. Go do your thing. But to try to prove your identity or to validate your identity, that's always been a troubling concept. But then, of course, as I got older and I started to, make my moves to and fro, I began to understand that that because we live in a society in which, especially in those days, in the 90s and early 2000s, where Hebrew Israelites as a quote unquote religious organization was not recognized for the most part anywhere in America, with the exception of Florida, thanks to the movements by individuals who followed Yahweh ben Yahweh, YBY. They made some moves in the prison system in Florida, but outside of that, it wasn't acknowledged. And so the problem with having credentials in the Israelite community is, it's, as long as you're inside the Israelite community, that's fine. You're able to move to and fro, all is well. People recognize you. They know who you are. Nothing else has to be said. But when you have to go to do a lecture in, let's say, Fisk University, or you may have to they may want you to do, a lecture at, Morehouse or wherever the case, whatever. It becomes a little different now because yes, they'll acknowledge what you know. They'll clearly see that you are who you say you are. But we live in America. We live in America in which the culture dictates that you are not fully validated unless you have gone through their educational system and have gotten their certifications. And while as Israelites, we're not really supposed to give a damn about that. But the reality is, if we don't go that route, we may find ourselves being locked out of opportunities to reach our people, all because of a piece of paper.
That's it.
And so you find yourself having to weigh these options. And I'm at a point in my life where if someone's asking me personally, hey, Chief Prince, what would you do if, and I would say, listen, go get the degree. And me not being an adherent of the New Testament literature as authoritative doctrine, but I do acknowledge that there is wisdom at least in the early parts of the writings. And I always like to use the example of Yeshua, Yahushua, the person that they call Christ, and he gives an example. There's an example given in the form of a conversation, between himself and some group of Pharisees. We don't know who the group is, but some group of Pharisees. And it was about this particular group. They came up to him and then asked him, said, "Hey, is it lawful to pay tribute to Caesar?" And it's and I know I'm going to kind of go off a little bit, just slightly, but it's a masterful argument because it's like the figure 4 leg lock of questions. You can't get out of it because either way he answers it, if he says yes, it is lawful to pay tribute to Caesar, then they can say, oh, so Caesar is your God, kill him.
Yep.
But if he says, no, it's not lawful, the Pharisees would be happy with that, But then the Sadducees will hear it and say, oh, so you don't believe in servants? You're the enemy of state. We'll kill you. So it's a death sentence either way. In either scenario, it's not a good look for him. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, his response is masterful. And if you, and those of who will be listening to this, if you understand the context and the history behind why he's saying what he's saying, you'll realize it's even more so masterful. He says, well, at first he calls them hypocrites, probably because they were paying tribute as well. But anyway, he says, listen, show me the coin. Mm-hmm. And he says, whose name and superscription is on this coin? And they said, Caesar's. So he says, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, but render unto God that which is God. Now, the reason why that analogy is really befitting of what we're talking about here is because when you understand that at that time period, Israel dealt with two currencies. They had Roman currency that dealt in their everyday dealings, purchasing food, doing whatever they have to do in a secular sense. But then they had the shekel. They had the shekelim that they used specifically for things pertaining to the temple, things pertaining to the synagogues, the Knesset. These were we used our currency for that which pertained to our people and to the Most High, hence tithes and all these different things. But the Roman coins, so whatever like that, that was for secular stuff in order to move to and fro in the matrix of that time. So the response, at least according to the story, the response is a masterful one because neither response is problematic. If he's saying, no, listen, by all means, pay your taxes. Mm-hmm. Because that's not yours anyway. It's theirs. Give it to them. But this over here belongs to Yah. Give that. And so we learn from that analogy that as a people in this land, we operate in a very weird space in which we are forced to move like double agents. You have to move as a Hebrew because this is who you are. But you also have to move as an African American because this is how you pay your bills. This is how you're able to move to and fro and make the moves that you need to make. Nobody goes into a job interview and says, no one goes in and says, Barakah to Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. No, you say, good afternoon, how are you doing today? And so we render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Mm-hmm. So in using that analogy, it's very important that we get to a point where we understand that the documents that we have as Israelites that allow us to move to and fro in our community, that's exactly what it's for. But we also understand that if we are going to go out and about and reach others of our people who don't know that they're Israel, and we want to come in a way in which they will respect the information that we're bringing, it may behoove us to just go to a community college or go to whatever university, go and get you an associate's in a particular field, whether it's psychology or whether it's pastoral counseling. Well, now they call it pastoral therapy, but back then when I got it, pastoral counseling. Go and get the degree, because all that's going to do, it's not going to be able, it's not to validate you, it's so that they can take their coins and you can still operate with your shekel.
And I want to, you about to say something else?
No. Let's wrap.
You know what's interesting about what you're bringing out, right? Part of me is like, man, he 100% right. The other part, I'm like, man, I want to fight it. But the fighting part is this. I'm gonna tell you what the fighting part is. It be our own people. It's like, so it's really like, what's crazy? So how can I say this? Those outside of your people may respect what you have and the level that you may be in and whatever it is more than your own. So it's like you're really getting a degree. You're getting a degree for the purpose of, it depends on what you're getting a degree on. Let's say that. It depends on where you're getting the
Right.
degree from. But the
Right.
counseling, like the counseling degree that you got, the pastoral counseling, that can take you into different fields of counseling,
Mhm.
different type of organizations, and it's a wide spectrum of things you could touch with that. But the point I was going to make was, what about, because like for me, I teach Hebrew, right? I
Mhm.
teach Hebrew. Those that know us know we teach it, we speak it, things of that nature. But and I even, a lot of people don't know this. I think you know this, and my Ishad know this, but I even got a certificate from taking like a 40+ hour thing in Israel as
Okay.
well. You know, so now when I'm coming to people, even though my dialect is different, they're like, okay, he has a literal certificate from being in a certain school or program from Israel.
Right.
But even with that, and I'm going, and Shalom Selassie, Judah the Shooter right there. Well, you missed the first part. I talked about the feast, and it being Moed, really meaning appointments. Moedim being appointment, and appointments being Moedim, and how you can attach that to dealing with that. We brought in Genesis 17 or whatever chapter. You probably gonna know it if I say it. When the Most High told Sarah that at this time next year, he was talking about the son she was going to have, and that time there was Moed. So now Chief Prince Abulin's here on the second part of, we're talking about degrees, and this is the person, I don't know if I ever told you about him, that ordained me and then elevated me through the years in the different offices to where I'm at now. So we're talking about degrees, and so I don't know. I don't even know where I want to go with it, Chief Prince, because I can literally speak the language. Like I could go to some pastors. Now I know that's
Right.
another. Me and you talk about that, so I don't even want to bring that in because that's a
Yeah.
different topic, because that's dealing with their members.
Okay.
They come into my class and then now they start to ask me questions about things, and that can mess with their organization. So I can see why they might pull back. But
Indeed.
I see what you're saying though. So when I got the certificate, before getting the certificate, the Israel certificate for the Hebrew, and I would talk to certain people about it, they'll be like, okay, cool, whatever. But then when they saw me speaking to a native, I was at my family house. My Isha was there. We was at my grandma's house. We was helping, and we was in the garage. And I went on this app called Tandem, and I'm literally talking back and forth to a native, and they look at me like, "Oh, you for real?" I'm like, "Yes." You know what I'm saying? So, but it took for them to see me work it out with the people that speak what they believe to be the actual Hebrew. So I'm going all over the place right now because I think that it depends on a degree. But it sucks that for our own people, that's what I mean more so. I ain't even talking about the United States and working for them and stuff like that. I'm talking about our people. If I tell my people that, okay, in my community, even the people in our community, we don't respect titles. We don't, so we respect certificates of someone getting a degree that did it for the same amount of years under someone, learning a school of thought that is actually outside of ours, but then you have a man or a woman that has been through the same amount of years, is showing the work that he or she put in throughout those years. He is being a blessing to children. She is being a blessing to children, men, all of that. But people in the community that you're a part of and people that's outside still won't, and when I say this, you all that's listening, let's make it clear, I don't care. But I'm talking about the subject. It's like, this person's putting in just as much work. Now I want you to speak on something that you brought out, Chief Prince, because I don't want to take your thunder.
No, bro. I'm on your platform, bro.
But you said something. You said something about what did you say? Oh, where did they get ordained?
Oh, yeah.
So I would love for you to bring out that concept. And here's the thing, those that's listening, he has a degree, right? So he's not. He already told you all. If you can do it, if you have in the mindset to do it, go ahead. Especially if the degree you're trying to get is going to be beneficial for yourself and for your family, things of that nature. So he's not against it. But I love what he brought out as far as this, because he tries to be balanced when he's bringing out certain things when I'm coming for counsel. So if you can, just break down what she was talking about, Chief Prince, about the ordination, degrees and stuff like that.
Right. And you're talking about from the secular ordinations, right?
Yeah. You was talking about the school and
right. Yeah, indeed. And before I touch that, let me just kind of land back off what you were saying. How our people view degrees and secular education, because I've had these conversations before. I've had these debates with people back when I was still willing to debate people. And one of the biggest arguments with is Israelites, we shouldn't go and get these degrees. Why we got to go to this school to get this? But it's like, well, wait a minute, but you don't have a problem with getting a degree is a problem. But you go to City Hall and you get married. You ask permission of the very same people. They're giving you permission. That's what I'm saying. That's what a certificate is. That you're getting permission. A marriage license. License is what? Permission.
Yeah.
We permit you to go and marry this woman. We permit it. And so I found that as a people, we're very, we're very selective when we don't like Esau's movements and when we do, or Yafet's, whatever your term that we like to use, Ghazi or whatever. But the funny thing is, in some of these conversations, what I've tried to do is I've tried to look at it from the perspective that we learn from the late great Ben Ami Ben Israel. Mind you, about 90% of the reason why I write books was because of this elder's books. Blew my mind. So I was like, oh yeah. So, but in this book, book is called God, the Black Man, and the Truth.
And that's all his books behind him, y'all, that he wrote. No, I'm playing.
Oh no. But in the third chapter of this book, it's probably the most important chapter of the book, and that is the power to define. Ben Ami was very big on that concept, the idea that we as Yisrael, we have the power. We had the power, and we have given it to others. And now, in this day and time, we have to go and he uses the word seize the power to define and redefine, because our entire reality has been defined by those who were praying for our disappearance from this earth. So we have to go back in and redefine. So when we start talking about education and why education, or at least getting these degrees and certifications are important, many people will say, but wait, why do we got to go to their school? Why do we got to? And it's like, well, okay, whether you go to Harvard or whether you go to Howard, it's whether it's a black college, the bottom line is you get the documents. But here's the problem. When you think about the universities, when you go to a university right now, let's say you decide you want to go to Phoenix University. You sign up for it, you pay whatever it is that you got to get to get in, and you are being taught by who? By professors who have degrees in whatever the field that you're going in. That person might have a PhD in world history. They might have a PhD in quantum physics. They may have a PhD in behavioral science, or whatever it is their field. They have this degree, and it's hanging up on their wall in their office. And they got their degree from whatever university they attended
Mhm.
and was taught by individuals who had their degrees, who got their degrees from places prior to that, who got their degrees from places, and you keep on going back. And so what I've done is I've asked people, what was the very first university, maybe not in the world, but let's say the very first university in Europe,
Mhm.
being that we're always talking about European education. The very first university was the University of Bologna,
Bologna.
or some people say Bologna, but Bologna
Hmm.
in Italy, built in like it was like the late 1000s, maybe like 1090 ACE. So we're talking about 1,000 years ago was the very first European university. Now, that means that prior to this, Europe had no universities. They had no way to certify anybody's education. So the question then becomes, where the individuals who are in the University of Bologna, who are now ordaining and teaching those individuals, where did they get their certifications from?
There you go.
And come to find out, they didn't get it from anywhere. What they did was, and I know this is they simply knew what they were talking about.
That's it.
They studied. They did what did Paul say? Study to show yourself approved.
Mhm.
That's what people did in Europe. And when they studied and they got a certain understanding of their particular doctrines and what they felt was education and what was the root of it and how they wanted to dispense it among the people, they went and built an infrastructure for that purpose, drew up the degrees, and okay, well, if you get past this point in the education, you'll get an associate's. If you get past this, you'll get a bachelor's, then you'll get a master's, and then you go on and on and on. And they actually sat there and manufactured it. But nobody talks about the University of Bologna. Because now before that, where do you go before that? Where did they even get the idea of a university? I'll give you a hint. Look at the year that the university was built. The late 1000s. This is the Middle Ages.
Mhm.
This is when the Moors were ruling Europe.
Oh boy.
The Moors, who were just like the Hyksos of ancient times, the Moors were a band of Shemitic tribes. Some of them practiced Islam, some of them practiced Torah, but they were a band of Shemitic people who came and they brought civilization to Europe during what they refer to in Europe as the Dark Ages, when ignorance was running rampant. It was the Moors, it was Shemitic peoples that said, no, education should not be discarded. Education should be a big deal. Bathing should be a big deal. Holiness, all of these different things. So we know that eventually they found their roots in universities in the so-called Middle East and in Africa, and you just keep going farther back as you can. The bottom line is, eventually you're going to get stuck. You're going to find that somebody started to teach and they did not have a degree.
Yes, sir. Real quick.
But they had degrees.
That's it. I was just talking to more Dawood. I told him I was going to bring this up during the live. He said, think of this. The school of the prophets.
Yeah.
So it's like it was a prophet that had students that he taught them, so it was a school of individuals, and someone that was more equipped was teaching others. So that goes back to my point.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. I even agree with Judah the Shooter. He was talking about that. He's going to, and he's I told you about him. He probably the fastest reader I ever fastest read. I know you know a lot of people. You've been in it longer than me, but I only been in it for almost about 14 years, and he reads faster than anybody I've heard. And I read faster than people that speak it fluently. It's kind of weird, but he's really equipped. He was talking about he's going to be going eventually. He said it in the chat, probably get a degree and a certificate, probably for the same reason we're talking about now.
Right.
Me, I want to do it, but I ain't trying to spend no money. I know it's programs for that and all that I can get into, but it's like, man, some people might be looking at me now like, dude, but it's the things and the areas that I want to do.
Right.
I don't know. I think the only thing that'll fit is like either counseling or psychology. As far as the stuff that we do mainly, the teaching and the house of balance, Beth Mazan, focusing on the thought process of men and women. I just wrote a darn book. Of course, the book, right? Dealing with preserving self and preserving love, and dealing with the blueprint or the divine blueprint of marriage and family. That's a little shameless plug, by the way. And
absolutely.
That read is phenomenal, not phenomenal, phenomenal. Like it's phenomenal. And I don't talk much about my own books, but this one to me is probably the best one. And it's like I didn't go to school for it, but I studied psychology. I studied sociology. I studied cultural anthropology without going to the schools. I going to the schools, I think it does build character in the individual, shows them structure, consistency, because you're doing a lot of electives. Is that the word I'm looking for? So where you don't really need, but you're doing it. So I guess it's building that individual, that individual in this process or her process. But man, I'm already there from a standpoint of the dedication. We're but so it's like, okay, is that a route I want to go? And I think that for me, it's either you're going to listen to what I'm bringing out, what my Ishai is bringing out, what our foundational ministry is bringing out, or you're not. Because even if I had a degree, you're going to still decide if you want to listen or use what we're bringing out anyway. So,
yeah, I mean, and like I said, it's an argument that I don't think there'll ever be a clear cut. It's because, again, for every argument that you can make against it, you can make for it. For every argument you can make for it, you can say, well, and you speak against it, and you're like, that's a good point too. Yeah. It's one of those. It's like it's one of those. It's like if I could compare it to like one of the Torah laws. It's kind of like it's like polygyny. You know what I mean? Like you can, if you do it, cool. Now there's obviously benefits to it, but then we can say, well, there's some cons to it. Right. So arguments can be made either way, and that's what I'm saying. That it's not one of those clear cut, like, okay, that's just what it is. It's like, nah, because again, it really depends on what it is that you're trying to do. So, like, for instance, I would tell a person, again, and this is only my opinion because it's, it's my opinion, and that is that if you do feel the need to go and get a degree, there's two things that I think that you need to keep in mind in order to make that decision. Number one, how is it going to be a degree that is going to positively advance your ability to dispense truth to the people?
Right.
Which is why I would tell people, if you're going to go get a degree in something, go get a degree in psychology. It's one of the in my opinion, it's one of the easiest degrees to get. You don't need a bachelor's. You get an associate's. An associate's in psychology, you can attach your documentations, of you being a chief moray and a chief prince, whatever like that. That associate's will get you into doors that your ordination doesn't get you in. The degree gets you in the door. The ordination steals the people. But if you can't get in the door, Who cares what you know?
Wow. Yeah.
Now, again, this is only a vantage point.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just saying that, and that's why when we spoke before about whether it's ministry or the different terms that we use, and I said that it depends on what is your end game, like what is the end goal for what you're trying to do, because what your end goal is going to determine how you move. And that leads to my second reason, a second thing that you have to consider with a degree, going to get a degree, is that it also has to be a degree that's going to help provide you with a relatively comfortable life. Why? Because number one, you got to pay that student loan back.
Yeah. Yeah.
That they're coming at you. So therefore, you have to look and say, okay, like when you see people go to school and pay $40,000 to get a degree in liberal arts. That's a waste of a degree. Like that was a waste, absolute waste. You know what I'm saying? Me getting an associate's at Wilkes University in world history is an absolute waste. World history is one of the most useless degrees that you can get. Now, it's a good degree for what I want to do as a person.
Yeah.
But it doesn't pay nothing. You go do 2 or 4 years in college for that degree, and with that degree, you can't teach anything higher than junior high school.
Wow.
Now think about that. You had to go to college to teach junior high.
Wow.
It doesn't make any sense. So that degree was a useless one because it'll never pay. It would never allow me to comfortably pay that debt off and to live comfortably. I'm always gonna have to go back and get some other odds and end jobs. But if you go and get a degree that both serves the purpose of getting you in the doors for you to do what Chief Prince Jamar does, but also because you don't want to fleece the flock and have, tithes or whatever like that, you have this degree, you could go and open up a small practice as a counselor. Doesn't have to be a psychologist because that you need more education to do that. But open up a practice as a counselor. You go get the associate's degree, and then you go to wherever state you're in and go get into the these various counseling programs. You do a counseling program for like 8 months. Now you have the degree, and then you have an actual license where you can go and open up a small practice, go into schools, go into organizations, and do counseling, do meditative therapy, and these things like that. And you can earn a pretty good living, which allows you to further your work. Because all of that's going to tie in together. Now, if you go get a degree in, I don't know, engineering, well, that'll pay the bills, but it won't do nothing for your ministry.
Right.
So there's a lot of thinking that we have to do when it comes to the degrees. And my only thing is that if you're gonna do it, for me, it has to make sense on those two levels. It has to. Is it going to help you get indoors that normally would not even open those doors? Look at Malcolm X. This is a man who, how do you think he got into a lot of these universities? Because he also went back to school. So he could go in these universities. So even if they say, oh, you're coming with the teachings of Elijah Muhammad. Yeah, but I'm also coming with a degree from your school. So pipe down and take this work. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that we just have to, these are things that we consider. That's all.
We should have had this conversation 2-3 years ago. Because, I always, I remember what got me to study psychology, cultural anthropology, and sociology. I literally have about iPad, books upon books on it. If I would have just went to school at that time, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Probably be what I'm trying, because honestly, I don't see nothing else other than counseling and dealing with psychology or counseling. That's what
Right.
I you know that I'm really talking to the audience right now.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
what I do when it comes to man and woman, when it comes to community, you know, when it comes to these things, this is what I feel like the most, not even feel, I know that the Most High is pushing me and my family to do. The other thing, which is why I stepped outside and went to Israel to that little school citizen cafe. I know some of y'all
Right.
will pop up. Expensive too, by the way. Yeah. So it's because I want to teach our people Hebrew. I want to teach
Right.
not even just our people in the community, but so-called Black people in general. And
Right.
that can be hard. Like I started a group class. This is like a third group class right now I'm doing, and I had some people that came over. But let me give y'all a number. This isn't a shot to the people that's not here, but it just shows like certain areas, like you have to be a person over a whole bunch of people or a whole bunch of different organizations for it to really happen, because a lot of our people, and that's my fault, wanted to push this as far as Hebrew and not serious about it, or not even not serious about it, but more so they realized that the consistency of being able to speak is literally can be hard. I mean, and not even hard, it's easy, but with your life, it depends on, you know, I was a certified personal trainer, right? And I used to tell the people that was losing weight or wanted to lose weight, I said, for you to be successful, anybody can lose weight, but you're going to gain it right back. If you're why, it depends on your why. For example, I'm not going to say the individual's name, but this individual lost weight a few times, but then she had got cancer, right? And the why changed. So now she moved a little more different. Now it's like, okay, I got to stay with this. Versus, okay, I'll lose weight for this trip I'm going on.
Right.
So I use that same concept even with my students. I say with Hebrew, I say you being in the class, the method that I'm doing is different than most people that I know, and I can say that firmly and not arrogantly. I know that I see them. More Athan is here. More Athan was with me before him. The Real Music was, just in case he watching. But I started taking it real seriously when me and him started going in. You know what I'm saying? And so we went through teaching people. We went through dealing with everybody when it comes to the Hebrew. So we saw the methods that they took in learning, and a lot of the methods that people take in learning. And this is a little plug I'm doing too, so bear with me. A lot of methods that people take in learning is the same thing we learn when we learn Spanish and all that other stuff at school. Which is why mainly when you find out, or you ask the person, or you find out that they went to school for French, Spanish, or whatever, Greek, German, or whatever, and they can't remember anything.
Right.
So now the method that I do is like, okay, we're going to do what you do when you have a child, and that child can't read or write. They got to speak first. Right. So in my classes, we only focus on speaking first. You're going to learn the letters if you don't know it. You know, you're going to learn all that, but the speaking is first. So my first class had about 18 people. I'm tying this all in. Had about 18 people. At the end of class, only 10 people remained.
Yeah.
Or got the certificate of completion.
Right.
Some of them was like, well, you know, I can't. I want to stop doing it. This and that. I'm like, okay, why? What's wrong? Well, I'm not retaining it. I said, okay, cool. Let me ask you this question: are you practicing? I lied to you not. Every last one of them said no. If you're not practicing, you can't retain it. So anyway, going back to the purpose. That's what I'm trying to say. My main focus is stuff dealing with psychology or counseling, and then the language. The language is very important to me, and wanted to bring that to our community. You know, am I fluent like a individual I know by the name of like Moriah? You know Moriah. You know, completely probably talk to you nonstop for a whole day. You know, in Hebrew. You know, me, I'm like a 4-year-old, 5-year-old. Sometimes I'm an 18-year-old. You know what I'm saying? So the 4 or 5-year-old new vocabulary words I'm learning, and I got to speak it a little slower. But the 18-year-olds, when I got all the vocabulary on lock. So when I'm saying this, you all don't think I'm a starter, but I'm being honest. I don't know everything, but I want to get to the point. I want our people to get to the point where they understand that it's going to take practice. It's going to take constant speaking, constantly going over these things, but things that I'm dealing with that won't apply to our people. That's so important to me, but a lot of people aren't really desiring it like that. So I'm left with only getting the psychology or some dealing with counseling, so
yeah. And it's because I'm listening to other elements of what you're talking about, not just the obvious topic, but but even thinking about even with the learning of Hebrew. Mm-hmm. And this is something that I think all of us who are being honest with ourselves. When people say, "Oh, why can't I?" This is hard. I don't think it is. Right. What I do think, I think anything is easy if it's relevant to what you are doing on a day-to-day basis. Yep. For a lot of people, learning Hebrew is not a big deal because in their particular in how they move and what they're going to be doing in life, the necessity to speak, read, and write Hebrew may not be of a real pressing nature.
Okay.
And that's fact. Now, let's say for you, this is a pressing thing for you. Why? Because this is what scholars do. Scholars, but this is your lane. So for you, it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna cap this. We're gonna get this under wraps. Mm-hmm. But you may not have that same approach, let's just say, when it comes to the field of let's say of Hebrew mysticism.
Hold on one second, you all, just so you know, he's saying yes, we have to practice. But go ahead.
Oh, who said what?
On the screen.
Oh yeah. No, and absolutely. But I'm just saying that. But because what I've realized is, as I've even gotten older, there's a lot of moving parts in the Hebrew Israelite paradigm. I don't want to say community because we're not really a community yet. We're like a band of 12 tribe confederacy kind of thing. Like we're kind of all over the place a little bit. But as a people, we have a lot of moving parts when it comes to our culture. I'll give you an example. There's a set of twins that in the Hebrew community. They're elders now. I want to say, what was the brother? Brother Ashquar and his brother Za'ar Parah. These are elders that came out of I want to say they might have been around in the original ISUPK before the split in 1995, but I know for a fact that they came through House of David, and then they kind of came to Atlanta during the 90s and started doing their thing. This brother Za'ar Parah.
I'm still here, by the way. Go ahead. I'm still here.
Okay. This brother Za'ar Parah, he went and started teaching classes on teaching Israelites how to clean the bodies and do the burial rituals for our people. He was a master at this. He taught courses on this. He would show up at your camp. You call for Za'ar Parah, he'd come to your camp and he would do a series of educational courses on how to righteously bury the dead, from the cleaning of the body to prepping of the body, pronouncing the blessings, a whole thing. And you got to think about this. This is something that we need in the community, but we never think about. We need someone to bury us. We can't depend on a Christian church to do it. You know what I'm saying? So these were skills that we hear about them, But for a lot of us, that wasn't relevant. It wasn't a big deal because it's like, well, am I going to really be? Am I trying to bury some bodies here? Probably not. And so some people who might have went to those classes, I went to the class. I learned a lot of things in there. Did I retain all of it? No. Why? Because I was not going to find myself in circumstances or situations where I would be cleaning bodies and burying them. But now for him and certain people, they're like, no, absolutely, I got to retain this because this is exactly what I'm trying to do with my life. Same thing with me. Hebrew. Do I know Hebrew? Can I read it? Absolutely, without the vowels. Can I write it? Absolutely. Can even write it in cursive. You know what I'm saying? Hebrew cursive. Can do these things. Can I teach it? Yeah. Do I, do I teach it? Not particularly. Why? Because that was never really my major lane. My lane is history. My lane is theology. Teaching, can I do it? Yes. Are there way more qualified individuals in the community to teach Hebrew? Absolutely. If someone came to me and asked me, oh, yeah, listen, you think you could teach me Hebrew? Yeah, I could. But if you want a more thorough education in it, yeah, she Prince Shema, or I even send them to the Danite. You know what I'm saying? Or Moriah Shai, send them to the Danite, whatever like that. Because you brothers are locked in on that. You're locked in. So for you, that makes absolute sense. And so retaining things will come easy for you. Same reason why I'm able to retain dates in historical events and pull them out of the air. And people are like, how do you keep that stuff? The same way that you're able to keep your Aleph Beit and your Nikud, the same reason, for the same reason. Because we all find what resonates the most with us, and that's what we become fixated on. So there's some of us in the Hebrew community who are not really locked into the culture like that. Some of us are more like, hey, I know who I am. I know I'm Yisrael. I know I got to keep these laws to the best of my ability. But, they live a relatively secular life. They're not out here wilding, going against Torah, but they live a very secular life. So for them, learning Hebrew may not be at the top of their list. They may say, Zephaniah 2:9. Zephaniah 2:9. They call it a day.
And that's out of context, by the way, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the look. I'm the one chief principal to know that I don't try to knock people's belief, but if you ask me, I'm going to let you know what it is. Read context, understand it, then keep going to the end of that chapter, going to the next, and you're gonna know exactly what is being said in Zephaniah 3:9. You know what I'm saying? But anywho, segue to that. Closing out, right? Just closing out. This is the encouragement that I want for our people, and maybe it's not for the people like you have brought out. Me and my Isha actually reading your book for our Seder HaKetubim, which we don't call it Torah portions. I don't knock it, but I feel like you guys putting me on a mission to really encourage, and you was the start of this too, to encourage us that we need to. It's nothing wrong with as you said, self-identifying, right? Who we are and how we want to read things. Why is it that the Torah portions, nothing against it, if you're reading and you're doing it, please do it because it's helping your life. You're going through the scripture, you're doing what the scripture tells us to do when it talks to us to speak of a day, morning, night, and the way that you go and all that stuff, how the Torah, so you're still doing good. But,
right.
And there's a big but. I don't know if there's a pause.
Hey, yo.
I want to bring something out just for those that's coming in late. You know what I'm saying? Those that's coming in late, let me bring you back up so you can be heard if you speak, Chief Prince. I just want to show them something real quick. Give me a second, y'all. Bear with me. And this is going to segue into what I'm saying with the, how am I right here? Where did you go? Give me a second, y'all. This is going to segue into what I'm saying with the Seder Ketubim. So that's what my household call it, and that means order of the writings, right? In replacement of Torah portions. Torah portion has specific things or places that you're supposed to go, right? You have your Torah they use, you have your Ketubim they'll go to here and there, but it's mainly, I believe, the Torah, the Nevi'im, and some people in the New Testament too, right? But I don't want us to stop there. I'm bringing it up. I'm taking a little while, but give me a second. I want us to understand that we have always been a people of writers, right?
Donnie, are you playing? Do you hear that?
I'm not playing anything yet. Yeah.
No, I hear music on my headphones. What am I?
Oh yeah, that ain't me. I don't think.
Why am I hearing Rakim Paul the Leader in my headphones?
I don't know.
It might be. I'm sorry. It might be Pandora. I'm sorry, but yeah, okay.
All right. So let me zoom in a little bit. So you have people, right? And you have, I think Judah the Shooter's still on here. I was saying something earlier about our own academia.
Yeah.
We need men and or women. And I was talking to Chief Prince about this. This is going to be the closing conversation. This ain't going to be long. So don't leave yet, Judah, because I'm about to promote you a little bit. We need people in our community that if they feel that the Most High is putting them down a direction of topics, like Chief Prince Abula, he's a author, he's a prolific author. He's a historian of historians of our time. I stand on it. We have people like Yeshaya the Danite, as he brought out as well. Me, I'm not a historian. A lot of my books is dealing with family, man and woman, preparing the children. I have a book called Life Lessons Before Life Happens, one of my top books to me. And then this new book that I have, Preserving Self-Preserving Life, the divine blueprint of family and marriage. Like those books is ridiculous, right? And these books is dealing with ages 13 and up on what's going to happen before your life actually begins. All things that most of us in this truth and outside of this truth, 49 topics dealing with everything that they're going to go through. So I feel like me and my Isha's journey is House of Balance. It's dealing with the house, it's dealing with the home, because we feel that the home is the foundation of everything. All this stuff that's messing up with us being scholars and stuff, our family is failing, that's our lane. Then you have Chief Prince Abula that y'all can see on this screen. I haven't zoomed in. This is about 23 books right here, 5, 10, 15, 20, 23 books, and he has more, right? This is the ones that's published, I'm assuming, right? And I think you said to somebody on the chat, on the comment, that you got about 5 more coming in a couple weeks. So his stuff is dealing with a lot of history, context of our text, and then the last 4 or 5 books, because his degree is in counseling, psychology counseling, and he's been dealing with people that have that has addictive nature of whatever drugs, alcohol, whatever it may be. And he has some books in it, and some of them ain't even gonna know he is, right? He using his government for that, but he's still taking the principles of our Torah, right? I'm gonna take this down so we can bring them back up. And then you have people like Judah the Shooter, with his whole ministry, even though with the best of them, he can go toe-to-toe with scripture in general. Like he's like an encyclopedia too. I used to be there when I was younger. You know, I mean, me and him are the same age, but both sides put me down a different direction of my focus, because I was one of those that would memorize scriptures like crazy, know where to go at the drop of a dime. But the Most High pushed me and with my Isha on a different path. And with him, his ministry is polygyny. That's one of them, if not the ministry. And it's not, he doesn't promote it like do it. He always says it's a preference, but if you're going to do it, let me show you how to be successful at it.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. I'm successful. I have X amount of wives, and we've been together for so many years, a lot of years, right? So if we had an academia, right, we have things with people that might be talking about stuff dealing with Paul. We have things with people only talking about the Torah. talking about writings that's outside, that's commentary work on the Torah. That's what I was talking about when I brought up Chief Prince book. Real quick, hold on. I'm gonna give me 1 second. I'm about to pull your book. It's right here. I want to show them it real quick. All right, so this book right here is the Kagai Principle. Yeah,
that's oldie but goodie.
Yeah, me and my Ishai, you know what people say, Torah portions for this week, probably next. Well, we blaze it for this week and maybe a little bit of next week. We read on Yom Sheni Monday,
right?
Wow, I just lost my Yom Commissi. Yom Commissi on Thursday, and of course,
right.
But this is what we're going over. So the Torah portion has you locked in every year, going over the same scripture, which is nothing wrong with that. But what we're doing, we're saying Seder HaKetubim, because you want me to pull you in on this one?
Okay, because this the one on my phone is about my phone's about to die.
I don't see you on this one though. Like I can't. Hold on. They will need to connect their mic before you can add them to this mic. So connect your mic to the one you're trying to come on, and then I could pull. Yeah, he got off. So until he comes back on, what we're doing with this is we're going through this, and we're not locked in with just a Torah portion. We are scribes. We are people of the Most High that has always written things, ketubim, writings. You have proverb. I'll give another example. I said this during the teaching. The most popular book that people go to within the most popular book, which is the scriptures, right? Or people say the Bible. Most people go where? To Proverbs. Proverbs is like the most, if I want to say it is the most, but it's one of the most books read or went to by people in Christianity, even people in our community and outside. But it's not the Torah. It's the writings. It's an individual that wrote about matters that he was going through that was relatable to other people, how to serve the Most High properly based off the principles of the Torah, right? It wasn't the Torah. It was writings. And then you got stuff like Sirach and things like that. So now what we're pushing is we could read books that is written by our people in general. That can be a quote unquote Torah portion. It doesn't have to necessarily only be the Torah. Torah should be there. You should read it and go through it, but it's okay to read your authors, your men and women that write books in your community that can help bring out things. And in this book, the last thing I'm gonna say, I'm gonna pass the mic to you to close out, Chief Prince. In this book, what he brings out and he says that most of us as Israel or Christians, this particular prophet right here, he says, especially Israelites, we highlight a lot of different verses throughout all these books. But Haggai is one of the books that's going to be barely highlighted because it's not a book that we really go into like that or considered a big prophet or a major prophet, you know. But this is an amazing book, you all. Haggai Principles. I read it a couple of times, and now me and my Ishai together are going through it as our what you all may say to our portion. But go ahead, Chief Prince. You got the floor. I don't know if I went off course or what I was trying to say or not, but I want to encourage us to support our people, man. We talk about this Bible. I'm going to say Bible. We sit up here and we claim we're the people, which I believe we are. But we're acting like the people as well that didn't support ourselves back then. You know, we're the same individuals. But if we want to thrive, it's a reason Black Wall Street, they was thriving as well. They was thriving because it was within each other. So if you have a person that has different areas that they master and they're good at, support them. And that's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to build. You know what I'm saying? So with that, I'm passing to you, Chief Prince, let you close us out. Whatever you want to say, how long you want to speak, and then we're going to head out, man. I was only supposed to be here to about 8:15.
Wow. Yeah, you kind of wild out. But
But yeah, just to kind of like, I guess, wrap up, the main, I guess, tent poles of what we were discussing, and it reminds me of, there was a brother, an elder, should I say, because he's an elder, obviously, that came out of the Hebrew Israelite paradigm. He never fully relinquished it, but he started to go in a different direction because he wanted to reach more African Americans than the Israelite paradigm would have allowed during the 1960s. 1960s was a weird time among Israelites because, again, that was the transition when we were transitioning out of Black Judaism into full-fledged cultural Hebrewisms. So it was a dark ages of sorts in a certain way. But this elder's name is Maulana Karenga. He's probably most known as the creator of Kwanzaa.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of, many Israelites are very divided on where he should be considered in the annals of our history and, as a movement. And while he did have some problematic views of where African Americans should go, the one thing that to this day, that I still respect about Maulana Karenga and Kwanzaa for that matter. And again, I don't celebrate Kwanzaa, but I used to when I was still in my old days in the late 80s, is that he extracted Hebrew Israelite concepts, and he put it in a very streamlined way where it didn't scare people off, and they could take the lessons and apply them. And so even back then, when you talk about this, the so-called 7 principles of Kwanzaa, the 7 principles is called what? The Nguzo Saba. Saba, 7. Where do you get that from? You know what I'm saying? You look at the Kinara, the 7-branched candlestick. Kinara, menorah, lights. It literally, Kinara means like lights. He extracted these things from our culture and streamlined it. But in the 7 principles, still remember it: Umoja, Kujichagulia, Ujima, Ujama, Nia, Kuumba, and Imani. Ironically, Imani means faith.
Hold on, wait. I don't know if my Isha's watching right now, but her name prior to Muna is actually Imani.
Absolutely,
and it means faith. So is it Swahili?
See, and that's what they say. There's certain terms like Kujichagulia, and that's the term that I want to actually focus on to close out. But there's certain terms that he does extract from quote unquote Swahili.
Okay.
But a lot of the root practices and the concepts are Torah.
Okay.
This is the reason why, like I said, this is the reason why I say that Israelites are kind of divided on what we should think of him and how we should, because on one hand he was clearly pushing Torah principles, but then he was kind of coming with some other stuff, and so it's complicated. But regardless of any of that, but in the 7 principles, again, Umoja is unity, Kujichagulia is self-determination, Ujama is cooperative economics, Nia is Nia's purpose, Kuumba is creativity, and Imani is faith, right? But Kujichagulia, for me, back then, was probably the most important of these back in, like I said, 1989, 1990, most important of these principles. And it's ironic because who would have thought years later it would circle back on what we were just talking about with Ben Ami. And that is Kujichagulia means self-determination. And the definition in the Kwanzaa literature about Kujichagulia or self-determination is what? to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves, instead of being defined by others, named by others, created for by others, and spoken for by others.
Yeshayahu, I think 44, Isaiah 44. Correct me if I'm wrong, Judah. I know you're gonna jump in and say something.
So,
Yeah.
so what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, the one concept that continues to rear its head among our people, and those of us who know better, is the power to define. There's probably no more important principle than that, because without that, you're still in religion. It doesn't matter if you wear a turban. You're still in religion. But when you understand the power to define, and that there are things that need to be defined, and more importantly, there are concepts that need to be redefined, because it was originally true, then someone defined it incorrectly, and now we got to go back and clean up the mess, which you were talking about earlier about Moedim, which is ironic, because when I heard you talk about that, I'm like, yo, I got it was a flyer that I created a couple of years ago talking about that exact point. But this is what we're doing. We are cleaning up. This is what they say, that history oftentimes have to clean up the mess that theology creates.
Okay.
And so when you are able to define, when you're able to seize the power to define and redefine, then we are able to go into these types of topics or whatever and say, okay, if anybody's going to be doing the definition around here, it better be us.
Yeah.
It better be us. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't go and consult outside sources and say, okay, well, let me just go over here and peek my nose into, let me see what they're doing over there, whatever the case, because you got to obviously make comparative decisions, you know what I'm saying, right, in the process. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the power to define, you are nameless. You have no identity. If you can't redefine and define, you're not even who you say you are.
And I want to say what you just said is people need to hear that again and really listen to. You didn't say just redefine. That's not what you said. You even said to not compete and compare, but compare and contrast. Maybe is what I should say. Mm-hmm. For example, if it's words I don't know in Hebrew, I don't just look up the word, right? Because I understand the influence with Israelis and things like that. Again, you all, mm-hmm, Israelis, they're not speaking Yiddish. I just want to say that
it's Yiddish, brother. It's Yiddish.
It's a difference between Yiddish and modern Hebrew. You don't believe me? Try me. I'll show you. I'll give you one example right now. Mother and father in Hebrew is aim, or some people might say but aim and ab. In Aramaic is Abba and Ima, and then in Yiddish is Tet and Muter. And all three of those languages use one script. They use the same script. Just like I'm taking this moment because I got you on here, Chief Prince. I want to create y'all. Hey, if y'all are enjoying him being here, let's get him to come here once a week with me. I'm trying to create something called Sage Talk. This man has been in this for over 30 years. And this book right here, I was holding and waiting so I could show you. This is probably the greatest book in modern Hebrew Israelite when it comes to history, because it embodies, and I'm going to get back to the Hebrew, it embodies everything leading all the way from Mount Sinai, more specifically for me in the United States. Though. Like he has all of the pioneers of individuals that started and got us to where we at now that a lot of you are not aware of. And some of you may, but a lot or most of you are not aware. I went to a few people, Chief Prince, different places. Me and my Ishah was networking. And when I mentioned Nasi Yaakov, and I mentioned how he was one of the people and I want to say the main person that had his companions to, according to what you brought up in this book, established the blue, right? Even though it's Tanakh, it's there, but we was more Judaism back then, Black Judaism. But he reestablished the turbans. He reestablished the kufi for us, the earrings, right? The zit, or the fringes with the blue, right? And then one of the biggest things I think that he established outside of those, because those are amazing, reestablished, was the fact of us having actual titles again from the Tanakh, not just Rabbi or Rabbi. Because back then, that's what they had. I'm only saying the stuff you already put in here. And I did my due diligence, too, to confirm it, even though you are the person or Damon, you taught me to do that. So that's what you just told the people right now. That's what I did. And what he's brought out is freaking amazing, even with the Hyksos. The reason I'm reading this again right now, Chief Prince, is because I'm trying to get something for the ministry. You already know. But he brought that out. And, he's the one that brought out, bringing out the prince, the queen mother, the chief prince, or the priest, all these things that we had back then, pre-exilically, taking away the rabbinic side of things, which is nothing wrong with that. That's their culture.
Mm-hmm.
Israelis, let them do what they do. Don't knock them. Let them do. They learn from us. Now we're learning from them to reestablish what we know so we can go back to what we did once before. Let them stay where they are. So that's why I'm not afraid to say to you all that's listening that, and I know some comments I'm not reading right now, I'm trying to stay on point, that, hey, the Israelis, they ain't speaking Yiddish. Now, if you say to me they have some Germanic influence from the vet and the bet and the vav and the wah, and we ain't talking about words like ice cream and all that stuff. We ain't gonna get it. That's another topic. But these are things that's important. But back to this book. This book, you all, this is the second edition. An authoritative chronology of Hebrew Israelite history from biblical origins to modern times. This is the second edition. I hope that he does a third edition. I do want to say to those that's listening, you leaders out there that do listen to our platform. First of all, I appreciate you all because I'm standing on your shoulders, being my Ishai, if you are older, standing on your shoulders. But I want to encourage you all to get in contact with Chief Prince Abuna, because I guarantee you this book is going to be a book 50 years from now that people are going to go to, kind of like what they did with from Timbuktu,
Babylon,
Timbuktu. These type of books that was for us to. It was our starter books. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be that. Go ahead.
What? No, yeah, one second. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah. Oh, I can keep talking. So this is going to be that book, man. And what he tried to do in this second edition was to reach out to so many organizations. Some did get back to him to let them know the importance of bringing and leaving their legacy of their organizations in this book. Tell your story. He asked for the truth, but tell your story, so that those that are right now, it's 2025, those that come in this in 2050 or 60 can be able to understand where the people like IUIC, ISUPK, Abba Bibbins, and all these individuals that we don't know about. It's all in here. There go Babylon Timbuktu. I used to have it. Remember before I moved down here, I had all them books, man. So I'm going to close out by saying, get this book. For those leaders that's listening to this, please get a hold of him. When he does his third edition, you're going to want to be in this book. You're going to want to be in this book. And to close out, I think that's it. It was something else you said that I wanted to speak on. Shoot. I wanted to take this. And also, Judah the Shooter, he actually said something. He has a couple books, you all. So make sure you let me go back up to it. Right here, he said from Babylon. No, that's not it, man. Hey, where your stuff at? You come. Hey, he up in commenting though. He said, I just dropped a historical Israelite book called From Egypt to Egypt, a children's book called Let My People Go. Put your information in the chat, please, Judah. Support him, you all. I guess he was showing me that too, because his main ministry is his main ministry, but he is very qualified in a lot of these topics. I lie to you not, as far as when it comes to just the teaching aspect. And more, Chief Principal, and please, can you put your information in the chat too, where they can get your books, where they can get all your books, wherever you want them to go. I'm telling you all, get his books. Get his books. And for you leaders, get your contact information too as well, Chief Prince, so they can contact you just in case you decide to do a 3rd edition.
Yeah, it's gonna be it'll be a minute before the 3rd edition, because it has to make sense. Like even with the 1st edition, because if you remember, the 1st edition was only about 80 something pages.
Yes, and this one is about over 300.
Yeah, it's like 320 something pages. So for me, a 2nd edition made sense, because I'm like, okay, I got this ton of information. It needs to get out there. So, but I just wanted to say too, like, because we can talk about these books and stuff like that, and that's cool. But what I want people to know more than just simply buying the books, but be encouraged to do the very same thing. The one thing that the Hebrew Israelite community has always lacked, and this is something that my teacher, I have a lot of teachers, but Chief Prince of Poor, as obviously, but the late great Chief of Chiefs Naphtali, one of his biggest regrets was that he never wrote a book, because he came up at a time when there was no place for Hebrew Israelite literature. You got to think, in the 1960s, we didn't even have 5 published books by Israelite authors, not even 5. In the 1960s, you had Hebrewisms in West Africa, and he wasn't an Israelite. I mean, but he was a quote unquote African American who wrote it. But outside of Hebrewisms in West Africa, you had From Babylon to Timbuktu. You had Marks of a Lost Race by Abba Bivens, that was lost for many decades.
Wait. Can you tell them? Go ahead and finish what you're saying. But can you tell them what you did to? I mean, I know you don't like talking about it, but I want you to tell people it, and then I'll comment on it, because I think it's important. It's amazing what you did. I think we need to know that.
Yeah, indeed. And so let me just finish that point, and then we can just circle back on the Abba Bivens. But you figure from the 1960s even into the 1970s, we did not have more than 5 books written by Hebrew Israelites for the truth. Yes, we had some pamphlets and little booklets here and there, but there were no academically, sourced material. And I mean academically, not necessarily from the other people's academics, but full-fledged books. This Babylon and Timbuktu might have been the 2nd book published by a Hebrew Israelite author after Abba Bivens.
Wow.
I think 1969 was the first printing of this book. Then, 70s, you had authors like Moses Farrar.
The Deceiving of the Black Race. Okay. I got to get
He was a very prolific author. I think he wrote about a good 10 books, and that's a lot of books in the 70s and early 80s. That's a lot for that time period. Yeah. And of course, you had The Truth About Black Biblical Hebrew Israelite Jews by Ella Hughley. She wrote this book in the early 80s, and KRS-One took an entire chapter of the book and turned it into a song called Why Is That?
Wow.
Like word for word, like literally, I got it highlighted. Word for word, he just turned an entire chapter of that book into a song. So, wow. So what I'm saying, so I bring all this up to say that in the 60s and 70s, you could buy all of the existing Hebrew Israelite literature out of the same paycheck. That's all the literature that existed in those days. Why? Because it took money to publish books. You had to either take out a bank loan. if you want to self-publish, or you had to find a book publisher who's willing to put your literature out, and that's if they even see a market for it. So you didn't see literature like that. Now we live in a time of KDP. It used to be called CreateSpace. We have the ability to put out literature, and tons of it. And there's a lot of Israelites in amongst us that has a lot to offer the community, whether we're talking about history, whether we're talking about language, whether we're talking about philosophy, whether we're talking about polygyny, whether we're talking about mental health. Israel as a people, we're all supposed to be sitting down and saying, you know what, let's stop wasting time on Facebook putting these monstrous amount of, you know what I'm saying, posts and wasting it to the timeline, when you can take that same energy, that same information, open up a Word document, click dictate, and start talking and speaking your words into that document, and start creating and codifying and canonizing your material, because we're the only people who do not control the flow of our education in our history. When it comes to the Torah, we get our Torahs from our enemies. We get our Tanakhs from our enemies. We get our head garments from the people who worship the black stone. We're going out all of our literature. When you want to look up something concerning the scriptures, we go to a Brown Driver Briggs lexicon. We're going to Ehud Ben Yehuda's dictionary of the Hebrew language. We're going to all of these sources from people who we are simultaneously saying are the goddamn devil that the Bible speaks of. So when you look behind me, I don't know if y'all can see back here, but back there,
we can see all that.
Now there's books up there. It's called the Interpreter's Bible. It is an encyclopedic. There is 13 volumes that compose that Bible. Each volume has about 3 or 4 books in it, and it has commentary. There's a parallel, so you have the KJV on one side, and you have the RSV on the other side, commentary, and then commentary on the commentary. And we read these things. We go to these encyclopedias, we go to these commentaries, we go to these Strong's Concordances, all of this stuff like that. And they're great tools, but we're still relying on the very people that we're saying do not have the spiritual acumen to be speaking on these things. We have that. That's our job. Why are we still online talking nonsense and arguing about nonsense instead of pushing out our academia?
Wow.
Why are we not doing this? And so I'm saying all of this so that those who are listening to this and are watching this and will be watching it, start canonizing your thoughts, canonize your concepts, because your enemies are doing it. If you want to call them your enemies or whatever term you want to use, everybody else in this world is canonizing their existence. And that's why you can't go up against the Khazars, because the Khazars are like, oh, well, say what you want to say, but your identity in Deuteronomy 28 is only possible because of the Torahs we manufacture.
Wow. I'm going to make a clip out of this. Just your last portion that you said. I'm going to make sure I make a clip out of this within the next couple of days because it's needed. I am actually loving the fact that you brought out and you gave everyone the blueprint. First of all, I'm going to get back to the blueprint. Abba Bivens, his writing, he wrote his book, and some people say intelligible, right? Like it was written in a way to where I guess the print and everything, you really couldn't dissect it or decipher it. And Chief Prince, he took it and he made sure he made it what we would call today, and I'm not saying this to say anything negative about our business at all, intelligible, like make it flow in a way that we understand today in 2025. Back then, if we was born back then, we would know. in 2025, Chief Prince had to make sure he edited it in a way that we can understand. And also because a lot of us don't know nothing about Abba Bivens. I didn't know anything. And some of you may know about it. I didn't until Chief Prince. I learned a lot from Chief and Chief Prince. I don't like saying Chief. I like make sure the Prince is there. Or I don't need. So what I love about what he did for you all don't even know. He just gave y'all a cheat code. I told my father-in-law, if he watched this, hopefully he'll watch it, about this cheat code you gave me, that you just gave the people. And he said, codifying your work. He used to tell me a couple of years ago, he said, don't go back and forth with people. He said, most of us online, we're going back and forth, argue back and forth, sometimes 2 or 3 days straight on the same topic. And he said, a lot of the people that's doing it, they're very knowledgeable. Why not write it down? Why not write it down? Because the most popular book in the world is what people call the Bible. Mm-hmm. And we think and believe that we are those people, which I know we are. So we were scribes. And you know the term everlasting life? Y'all know the term everlasting life, right? So everlasting life, we understand the theology on what it means, or ideology, what it means or whatnot, and the theology. But I tend to say, I don't know if I came up with this myself or if I heard it from you. I feel like I came up with it myself, but I may have heard it. I don't know. Everlasting life is what you put down. I know the legacy part I get from you, with your legacy. Mm-hmm. So if you're gone, what you created and written down is going to last forever. Unless it's just burned to crisp. It's going to last forever. Case in point, the Tanakh or the Bible, even the first century literature, even the Mishnah, which people mistakenly say that's the Khazars or whatever. That's us, y'all. That's us. Talmud is different. And there's 2 types of Talmud, by the way. Babylonian and the Jerusalem, if I'm not mistaken. So these are things we don't know. You said something interesting about commentary of the commentary, and that's what the Talmud is of the Mishnah. The Mishnah was expounding on what the Torah was, but we associate the Mishnah with the people. I learned this from Chief Principal, by the way. We associate the Mishnah with them, which is really us. 200 BC to AD. Mm-hmm. It's us.
And it's the Gemara. The Gemara is the commentary on the Mishnah, but altogether they call it the Talmud.
Right.
But their commentary is called the Gemara.
See how you had to come in and make sure I put it in order, and I'm going to take heed to it. So, and yes, they do. They put it all together and they just say Talmud. It's crazy. But anyway, everlasting life. This is why I like using this term when I speak on it. And Chief Principal, and you can ask and a lot of people. I said when me and my Ishai visited a couple congregations a few times recently, I was encouraging them to write books. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened with Judah Moshe, because once he started, he put out about 8 books already. Like he just going back to back to back. He wrote a book in one night, whole book. The book was about 400 pages. So, but my point is, we have children that we're trying to, man, this is going longer, but I'm glad. I think the Most High is using us to do this. And I think I'm really going to clip this part from what you said onto this point, because I think it's needed. You said a lot of great things. We talked about a lot of good things, but this last part that you said, I think is the most important part of this whole conversation. More important than the feast day conversation and even the degrees. Because at the end of the day, a lot of you have families. A lot of you have children. And the scriptures say, train up a child and where it should go and will not depart. The problem is a lot of us are not in the community settings or networking with other people, multiple people that we can marry, Jeremiah 29, Yirmiyahu 29, our children with other children and have them involved with multiple children. Because guess what? Your daughter might not like this one. You need to have a lot of young men in place to where they can play with, grow with, build with, have the same ideology, moral compass, things of that nature. That's what train up a child in the way it should go and will not depart means. It's not the Christians church fathers, I always say that because there's some good Christians, standpoint. It's not that, because a lot of us failed. So back to the writing. I encourage every person that's listening or listening back. You don't have to be a prolific writer. You don't have to be some scholarly person when it comes to speaking well, because I'm not a person that just speaks well either. You don't have to be that. Your Torah, the Torah that your children and maybe family is going to gather towards, is going to be you before the scriptures. That sounds crazy that I said that, but it's not. It's going to be you before the Torah. It sounds crazy that I said that, but it's not. The most popular scripture, in my opinion, in the Tanakh is Proverbs, and it's not Torah, which means it's a writing, which means if you have children or family members, that's why I commend any authors, big or small. I know you New York chief principal and Paul.
No, we good.
Okay, we got to do an automatic pause in the beginning so we keep going. So write down your thoughts. Write down what you've been through. If you want to be discreet in your writing, do it, but still write it in a way that you can really encourage and direct them. That Life Lessons Before Life Happens book I wrote is for my children.
That's right.
But well, every book I write is for my children, but and my family first, but it's for them. And another thing, the reason I want to learn Hebrew so much, not learn, I already know that I can speak it. I'm sorry. The reason I'm going so hard, what me and Chief Prince were talking about, is because me and my Isha, when we have our first child, our goal is to only speak Hebrew in the house. So I believe writing down your thoughts with the principle of what you know Torah will help your children, because your children might not be as dedicated as you are. And if they're not as dedicated as you are, that means they're not going to open the Tanakh or open up any piece of literature we wrote, whether it's first century and beyond, New Testament, whatever. They're not going to look at it the way that you do. So you got to gather everything that you deem wisdom from the principles of our people in the first century and before, and make it in a way to where they understand. And they're going to listen to you before they listen to the Bible. So going back to what Chief Prince said, and this, I'm going to close it off with this. He gave y'all the blueprint because he gave me the blueprint. That book I wrote with Preserve Self and Preserve Love, the divine blueprint of family and marriage. I go live a lot. I teach a lot. Me and my Isha, we teach a lot. And we're doing what he said. He said to you would download that. What did you call it, Chief Prince? I don't want to get it wrong. Download the audio and dictate it, right? Dictation.
Oh no. Oh yeah. No, I would, like with me, I would just open up, because everybody's got Microsoft Word on their computer or whatever like that. Open up a Word document, a blank Word document, click on dictate. Mm-hmm. And the microphone will go on, whatever your microphone is on your PC or your laptop, whatever, and just talk the same way we run our mouth on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, because it's not like we don't do it. We run our jibs for half the damn day. You know what I'm saying? So instead of putting it all on Facebook, just open up a document, click record, and whatever it is that you were going to type on Facebook, whatever it might have been, Esau ain't the white man. Okay, cool. Don't write it. Don't put it on Facebook. Open up the document and talk about it, whatever. And just sit there and go for like a half hour.
Yeah.
Just get all of your thoughts into a Word document. What you do with it after that, that's another story. We can talk about that another time. But you want to get into the habit of making sure that your thoughts serve the
Just in case he's breaking up, anybody that's watching, put a 1 in the chat if you hear me.
And the purpose that they're meant to serve. Your thoughts are you don't want to Okay, you hear me?
We hear you now. I hear you now.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. You know what I'm saying? Doing this because our words are supposed to be for the purpose of bringing forth life, correct?
Okay.
And if that's the case, then what we're supposed to be doing is making sure that we are in the habit of bringing forth life with our words. We don't want to get caught up in what I call intellect.
Ah, no. Hey, man. Hey, hey, look, if y'all want us to create this Sage Talk, I'm waiting for him to come back. Please let me know. I want to do it once a week. I talked about it, one time before. But we definitely gotta have Chief Prince do this Sage Talk. So long story short, what he was saying until he comes back is just record, speak. When we think of Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah, he had a scribe, Baruch, and he spoke, and it was written down. So using that word, using that Pages and MacBook or Mac Pro, that stuff records. It's your scribe. So it'll record everything that you're saying. And then, as he said, do it as you please from there. And what he's suggesting, what we're encouraging, is create books. If not for the only reason, but for your family. You want other people to read it, but you want your family. Like, our main goal and our main purpose should be family first. Our focus is not that. Our focus is being the smartest person, the one that had the most scholarly, knowing everything. We know everything, so we don't listen to someone that may be a little further than us. Like, all these different things, that's our focus. But our focus should be our home. It's a lot of people failing in the so-called Black community. It's a lot of people failing in the Israelite community. But we scholars. There you go. He back. I just wanted to speak into. He got to press that audio. So when he comes back, I'm going to let him close out. I'm going to let you close out, Chief Prince. I was just expounding on what you were bringing out. I was expounding on what you was bringing out, but please close us out. 9:30 is when we end it. We got about 7 minutes, so I'm letting you close it out.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, man, I don't know what happened.
Close it out. Everybody said they want us to have a Sage Talk.
Yeah,
once a week.
CP time. But yeah, and I was just gonna say real quick, because of the signal, I guess the signal dropped or whatever the case may be. I'm just gonna say this as a sidebar. We might argue whether or not Esau, Esau, the white man, is the devil. The one thing we can argue: technology is the damn devil. But seriously, what I was going to say was that our thoughts are not supposed to remain inside of our head.
Okay.
They're supposed to come forth. They cannot stay in a state of dormancy. It has to come forth. It has to put life. Your words have to serve a purpose, and they don't serve a purpose if they stay here. Now, what I say is that when you have this information, all these studies, and you don't put it in a way that people can continually find life in it, you end up basically performing what I call intellectual onanism. Because what was the sin of Onan?
Oh, now, he didn't fulfill what was said as far as having that child for his brother that passed. But
metaphorically, what is we look at it, instead of putting his seed where life could be brought forth, he spilled it on the ground.
Okay.
Where nothing comes from that. When we are putting this information in an argumentative form on Facebook, it is like spilling out seed on the ground.
Wow.
Because what happens is, after a little bit of time, that information disappears onto the timeline. Unless a person is going to go to your page and find it again, it's gone. And we don't know if Facebook will be around in another 2 years. It might become extinct. But books, as long as you have ISBNs, this is your legacy. Take your words, your thoughts, put them in written form so that no matter what happens to you, the things that make you you will always survive. Abba Bivens, and we don't have the time to really go too deep into his book, but Abba Bivens wrote a book in the early 1940s called Marks of a Lost Race. And I'm not going to go into the disrespectful things that his students did to his legacy, because it's a touchy subject for me. But I will say that Abba Bivens wrote this book in the 1940s, in the early 40s, right before World War II was about to end, because he wanted our people to not only understand who we are, but understand what our duties were when we find out who we are, our duties to the Most High Yah. And that book was never massively published. Only a few copies of it ever existed because he didn't have the money to put up all of this. So the individuals who did have it, his students, whatever, who had a couple copies, they ended up somehow giving it away, and the book ended up a jacked up copy of it ended up in a library in Illinois.
Shout out to my home place.
Yeah, and they scanned it, and it was a horrible copy. I mean, the scan is horrible. And so what I did was, because I'm like everybody, when no one even knew this book existed, because ISUPK, because they wanted to do away with his legacy and, you know what I'm saying, and cut him off because of his origins of being a black Jew under Prophet F.S. Cherry. They removed him from their history and turned his writing into a chapter in a larger book called Change of Worlds in the early 1980s. So they made Abba Bivens' name go away, so that you hear the name Abba Bivens, but you never hear Eber Ben-Yomen. And they made his legacy disappear. And in fact, in later editions of the book, they just removed his name altogether and just simply put written by Chief High Priest Ariyah.
Wow.
So they did a real, and I said I wasn't going to go into it, but they did a real disservice to him. And so when this copy of the PDF started to circulate, because there's nobody has any known copies of it in physical form anymore, I remember sitting there looking at the PDF. And I'm like, this is horrible. How did they? And then it clicked. I said, oh no. Oh no. We're not gonna no. And I got to transcribing that entire work into a Word document. I formatted, I cleaned up everything. I mean, and I'm not saying it in a bragging way. I was saying it in an excited way, because I'm like, this book was never supposed to see the day of light again. This man's legacy ended because all of his family, they abandoned his teachings and they went and joined a Jewish organization over there in Israel that was trying to, anyway, they joined the very people.
I'm still reading that. Yeah, that was in the book. Yeah.
And it's so disrespectful to his legacy, and even his students turned their backs on him.
ISUPK, by the way, y'all.
Indeed. And it's not a shot at brothers who are in ISUPK, just saying that that's what they did back then.
Yeah.
They made his name. They did exactly what we talk about in Psalm 83, where we have caused the name of Israel to cease from among men. We did the same thing that we claim Esau did to us. Well, we did it to Abba Bivens. We made his legacy disappear, and we haven't seen that book in nearly 40 years. And so I sat down and I transcribed that entire manuscript and put it into a book form, reformatted everything, redesigned the cover so that people can have access to this original work. This book was written right before World War II. And this is the book that shows you where ISUPK got their breakdowns from, how they interpreted the book of Obadiah. All of their breakdowns, it didn't start in 1969 the way they say. No, it started in the 1940s with Abba Bivens, who was the student of Prophet F.S. Cherry, who was out there teaching the same doctrines in 1886 in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
This is why he's the historian of historians of our time, y'all. I'm telling y'all, if y'all want him to come on this platform once a week, please put ones in the chat or comment later. Go ahead.
Nah, but yeah, but no, but I mean, but I'm passionate. Okay, no, all praise to the Most High. But I'm passionate about that specific book. I care more about that book than almost every book that I've written of my own.
Wow.
Because everything that we write stands on the shoulders of those pioneers, the very pioneers that we throw to the wayside and we want to forget them. Like, no, we're not doing that. So the only book that I have in my collection that I think is worth the same as Marks of a Lost Race is Authoritative Chronology.
That's it.
Outside of that, that's it. The rest of my books, they're good. They're whatever. But these are the books of our fathers, those who came before us. We write these books easily. We go get a Word document. We go to KDP. We upload that bad boy, and we doing our thing, and it's easy work. 60, 70, 80 years ago, you had to put in real work, and they did this with their own money, even though they might have only been able to publish 5 copies. So it's very important that we remember those who came before us. These individuals crawled so that we can dance.
Wow.
And with that said, in the immortal words of Buckwheat, that's all I have to say about that.
Hey, y'all, look, we're going to close out. Please, when you watch this back, or if you're watching now, put some comments in the chat. Let us know your thoughts. Please let us know your thoughts on, Chief Prince Abulin being on a part of the platform network, because I really want him to be here once a week if we can. I know it's a lot of pressure because he's doing a lot behind the scenes that people don't know. But just to hear him say that Abba Bivens' work supersedes all his works outside of the authoritative chronology is amazing. And I'm reading that book right now. I'm reading a few books. Like, I got right here on my left, I got like 5 books that I'm going through right now. I actually got to take 4 back to the library. But his book,
and mind you, I say that with I say that with all these, and no disrespect to any other Israelite author, but it's just very important that we understand that these pioneers, they wrote these books out of absolute necessity. We do it with leisure. We could just sit back and be like, oh yeah, you know what, I think I'll write a book today. They did it because their life depended on it.
Yeah, they didn't have the dictate thing that we got. We don't got
at all.
So I get exactly where you're coming from. Why I was going with it too, more so, is because you have produced some massive works. But I love the humility and the part that, like, I learned this from Chief Prince Abulin. Chief Morris Shalim, or Chief Elder Morris Shalim. I've spoken to him often. I always speak of him and Chief Prince Abulin, and also my Abba-law. Like, these 3 individuals are, I'm getting on my father-in-law. Hopefully he watched this. He's another individual that is mine. And Morris Shalim, goodness gracious, if I can get a hold of him again and we come in contact, I'm just gonna press record, like what you said. Literally, I'm gonna sit there and press record. You know I do that. I did that with you. I'm gonna sit there and press record because their mind is where a lot of us will be, right? It's where, like, even Judah, you here, you're going to be there. You're going to be one of those elders, right? How I view Chief Elder Morris Shalim and Abed Athias and Chief Prince Abulin, there, it's ridiculous. But the thing that you are doing that's different, that hopefully we still can get done for Ab and Chief Elder, is writing. And that's the difference. What he's bringing out right now for you all, I think that if those before us had what we had today, they probably would have wrote more. But the finances that he's bringing out. So he's telling you all, I'm telling you all behind him, is to not take, what's the word I'm trying to say? To not, forget it. So to learn from what they did and take advantage of what you have. And what you have is this technology. We have to, and we're going way off of what the topic was today, but I'm loving it. We have to write, y'all. This debating, if like it, look, you're going to still believe what you believe. This is what Chief Principal said. You're going to believe what you believe. I'm going to believe what I believe, unless the Most High moves us to take heed to what the person is bringing before us. But most times we're going to believe what we believe. So write it down. So with that, I'm going to close out. Chief Prince Adoni, please, if you have not, write down in the comment section one more time if you have, but if you haven't, please do, where they could contact you, wherever you want them to contact you at, where they could get your books.
Well, real quick, because right now believe it or not, I've stopped being lazy and started finishing up revamping my website. So it's getting near to completion, but for now, anyone who is interested in my books, just reach out to me on Facebook, inbox me. We can have a conversation about, the books, the pricing, or whatever like that. If you operate with.
All right, you all. He said it was okay to reach his Facebook. Give me a second.
For now. Yeah.
For now. So I wanna so you all can see it. This is his Facebook. All right. So type in the chat. I don't know if you all, let me make sure you all can see it. Okay, cool. Zabulon Ben Lewy Hideki. Go ahead and message him. The books that I'm going to tell you to get is the book that he spoke on with Abba Bivens, and then the authoritative chronology of Hebrew Israelite history. Get that book, even if you're not an Israelite. Get that book, the first 20 pages, before you start getting into the history of those that were the pioneers of us. Get that book. And I want to say something too. This is a sidebar. Y'all, you could know I've been married to my Isha. Y'all, look, he put me in a book. I'm standing on the shoulders of everyone there. But this is why he told me he put me on the book. And this is why I'm saying this for a reason, not about me being in the book. He's trying to make sure that every organization that are individuals that identify with being B'nai Israel or Yasharel or Yasharala or whatever you go by, Yasharal, you have a place, one central place where people 40, 50, 60 years from now can be able to go back and understand the history of us from day one. He has some, man, hold on, that's it. I promise you, I keep saying it, but I gotta, make sure I'm keeping Torah, and I don't want y'all to be like, well, you done promise 3 times. He has his, so once you get to page 96, that's when it goes into dealing with those of us in the United States. Everything before there is phenomenal. I went back to this book. I'm reading it. I got hurt on the job, so I'm chilling, but I'm working, but I'm chilling. And I'm just reading this book because dealing with the Hyksos, oh my goodness. I don't know if y'all familiar with the Hyksos, but I had to go back. And that's why, if you saw what I posted, Chief Principal, I brought out the AME. I brought that out. And then I brought out when we became a nation. And the crazy thing about it is a lot of the people that we understand when Israel was doing the Exodus, we're getting it from the so-called white scholars. Now, look, I don't knock them. That's what they got. But we need something for us. So what is it? Why? What is it? They got their reason as to why. Chief Principal and went into some detail that's going to bring some crazy, not crazy, amazing stuff. I say crazy. That's how I speak sometimes. Some things that's amazingly crazy that you may not even know. It's like, whoa. So he goes into the Hyksos and all these different things. But 96 to 197 is dealing with these pioneers, right? He has Prophet F.S. Cherry. He has Prophet William S. Crowley, Rabbi Arnold J. Ford, Chief Rabbi W.A. Matthew, the Honorable Ben Ami Ben Israel, which I think is very important for us to know, despite what people may think about dealing with him in the organization. Things. Look, name one person. Name one person. You can't name Malcolm X. You can't name Martin Luther King, which they did amazing work. You can't name what's the other? Why I can't think of his name right now. Not Noble Drew Ali, but him as well. Marcus Garvey. Amazing things that they did. But the thing, somebody asked me if you wanted to speak to someone that passed away, come back. The normal people say is, Yahusha, Moshe,
right.
Some of the other
usual
people.
Suspects.
Yeah. I mentioned if we said Tanakh, I said Ezra. Because Ezra reminded me of Ben Ami. And I know people have their thing. Of course, you may be from over there. I don't know. But here's the thing that I want to ask him before I read the rest of these people. It was around the number, I can be off. It could be around 300 people from Chicago and like Detroit. If I'm missing somewhere else, please let me know, Chief Principal. I don't. So Chicago and Detroit, for you to be able to convince people and the elders around you, because he was young, to go to Liberia for a couple years before going to Dimona. And here's the interesting thing about Ben Ami Ben Israel and the people that was with him that got the people to go down there. The story is the same of Mitzrayim, Egypt. All the people went and left and wanted to go back. But in this case, they did go back. So 300 people came to Liberia, and then I think maybe under 100 or a little bit over 100 remained, and they left and went to Dimona, Israel. So think of a number of 100 and under 100, and now they're in the 3,000 plus right now. So I will want to talk to him. How did you do that? Like, what were you going through? So many people, the lack of people, and then building a whole, basically, small nation. You know what I'm saying? So that's somebody asked me that question. I want to bring it out. So he has Honorable Ben Ami Ben Israel, and I know it's people that have their things that took place and things like that, but I'm not connected. Elder Moshe Farrar, he has me in here. So he published his book in 2023, and having Chief Morris Shematai Yahoo. He has Yahweh Ben Yahweh, Elder, and I want to speak on that Yahweh Ben Yahweh after this. Elder Hanaya Israel, More Elisha. I wonder if this More Elisha is the person that Chief Elder Morris Shalim always speaking about. I haven't read it.
I'm almost sure, because what's interesting, real quick, and I'll let you get back to your point.
Yeah.
Mori Elisha, very wise elder. He didn't always have things that everyone agreed with, but then again, who does? But he may be, and I say this carefully because I could be wrong. There's a possibility with this, but I'm almost sure. I'm about maybe 80% sure. He is the first Hebrew elder to bring out the Saturday morning Shabbat and Friday night being a preparation. Because I know in the 90s when he was teaching it, I don't think I ever heard anybody so he may be again, I could be wrong, but I think he was the herald of that particular understanding of the Shabbat.
And it's crazy when you bring that out. I didn't even know that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, information's just crazy. How he could bring it out back then, I don't know when he brought it. I'm just assuming because he's an elder. And people that may not even know him start having that little thought, right? But I'm going to ask Chief Elder Morris Shalim, because I was actually talking back and forth with him today via text, and see if this is the individual. I thought I heard him say Elisha. Then you got Aba Ben Yomin. Oh, this is Abba Bibbins. Go ahead, Levi Ben Yisrael. Prince Nasik or Yaakov Nasi. This is the person that you hear us talk about sometimes, Nasi Yaakov. This is the one that reestablished with those companions that was with him, those individuals that was with him, and reestablished us wearing turbans or misnafet, wearing kufis, what people call keppa, wearing earrings as men, wearing zitzit, what people call zitziot. Scripture say zitzit. I had to learn that, Chief Prince. probably like about.
Say that again?
Yeah, zitziot. I say zitzit because in Scripture zitzit. So, but I was saying
right.
zitzit for a minute. But he reestablished. Hold on. Y'all hear me? Ah, there we go. He reestablished that. He reestablished the titles, things of that nature. So I love what I was reading in this that you put together. I don't know if it was straight from you or if it was from elders around his area, because I know you was reaching out to elders in regards to the congregations and things of that nature, or if it was just from knowledge that you know.
Yeah, it's a combination of a whole bunch of that.
Okay. And then Adon Nasi Travel.
Yeah.
Travel Ben Yehuda. So these are verses, pages 96 through 197, y'all. Please get this book. It's a reason why he said out of all 24 or 23 or 24 published books that he has, he put this on the top. Why? I believe because the information and the historical knowledge that he has in the other books is amazing and great. But this is like objectively our history from Mount Sinai all the way here. And he does it so Most High used him. Look, this is going to be a book I'm going to forever go probably read every year. So anywho, without further ado, you all, appreciate you all tuning in. Please comment, share, subscribe. If you were appreciative or you enjoyed this evening, please let us know, because again, we may come on and start doing what I want to call it sage talk, because people talk about sages. We have sages. We have individuals that are pioneers in our community. We have individuals that stand on the shoulders of those pioneers and become within themselves pioneers, because they may stand on the shoulders and have to bring an element that wasn't in the past. So I believe him to be this. I believe the Most High has used him, just like he's probably using some of you, just like he's using Judah to do what he does. I don't see a lot of people in the community doing what he does. Just like I believe he's using my Ishai, myself, and other people, all you all that's listening. The Most High may be using you all, but the one thing out of everything that we said that you need to do, in addition to what you're already doing, is write it down so it can be codified. Because if it's not codified, it's almost like it's nothing, because you're talking and you may have 1% of an individual that may remember it or understand it, and they only use it for themselves. This needs to be put out for everyone.
Right.
Trust me, I'm getting on my Ab and Chief Adam Muslim. I'm gonna bring this out to him. So Toda Rabah for you coming on this platform, Chief Principal Nasi Kadashi Adoni, and sharing your wisdom. And I pray that you come back. I pray that we make it official and do it once a week, maybe one or bi-weekly, whichever one is better or best, so we can continue to feed the people and glean from the people to produce more things that can help. Did you have any closing words for you? And we're going to close out. Any closing words for you?
Yeah, closing words real quick, to the point of what we've been saying, because you kind of triggered something with, with sometimes I guess how people view Ben Ami, and
yeah,
they got their opinions, or YBY. And let me just say this, and this is coming from it was actually an argument that I had with a certain elder. I'm not going to put that elder's name out there, but a certain elder that I used to teach with in Brooklyn some years ago. It was It was the night. It's amazing. It was the night after. It was. I want to say it was Chag Matzot, I believe, had ended. We had either brought an end to Chag Matzot or it might. Yeah, Chag Matzot. Yeah, it was Chag
Feast of
Matzot.
Unleavened Bread. For those that don't know, Feast of Unleavened Bread.
Yeah, Chag Matzot. Feast of Unleavened Bread. This was 2008, and I remember having this. It was like a group of us. We just all talking, building or whatever, brotherhood in the building, and this particular elder, we all started talking about, brothers and sisters were putting the work in or whatever like that. And the name of Ben Ami came up. And the first thing is it just became like this disparaging type of flow where it was just like, oh, he thinks he's the Messiah. He thinks, and everything was negative. And so the first thing I did was I said, okay, let's demystify the term Messiah. Even though he never said that he was, but the people who followed him referred to him as Mashiach. Now, we understand that when you remove the mystical Christian element of Messiah away, you realize, no, it just means someone who is anointed. We are all anointed according to Scripture. We were a kingdom of priests. So not a big deal. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you have an issue, if you don't like what you see on Ben Ami's resume, or YBY's resume, or this person's resume, or that person's resume, there's only one thing you need to do. Show your resume.
Yep.
And if you can't, then you know what you need to do next. Step your game up. Go get some degrees.
You brought it back full circle.
Go get some degrees because your resume is looking really light.
That's right.
And if your resume only consists of Facebook posts and arguments, you've done yourself a disservice and you've done your people a disservice. So if you don't think what Ben Ami did is whatever, that's fine. Go produce a better doctrine. Go produce a better outcome. Just do better. Just go be great and do better. If you have an issue with something that an elder is done or whatever the case, if you don't like what YBY did, oh, he said he was Yahweh. Okay. Yeah, that's a problem. What else? Like, what else you got? Like, what else? Because if we remove that, we still have his works. And if you go into that book, if you go into authoritative chronology of Hebrew Israelite history, and you look at what he brought to the table in the South in Florida, I think a lot of us would do best to stay quiet.
Be quiet. Yes.
Shut your trap.
Yes.
And go figure out a way to contribute positively to your people other than just lip service.
Yeah.
That's not a disrespect to anybody. It's just it's a righteous critique to say that we have to do better. And doing better doesn't mean arguing on Facebook. It means, as they say, it's all about the fruits of the spirit, right? But it's also the fruits of your hands.
That's right.
Let's get to work.
Because the fruit can't be there unless you plant it.
Right.
You don't put no work in, the fruit not there. And I know
so let's get to work. So yes, let's get to work.
That's it. And I'm a land back off of you real quick and just say this. I love how you are objective in the presentation on the authoritative chronology, Hebrew Israelite history, when it pertains to Yahweh ben Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say Yahweh ben Yahweh, but I know people say it. I get it.
Right.
But he did do some ridiculous stuff that most of us probably not even gonna do in our lifetime because we afraid to do certain things. We don't have, and Ben Ami, like that's, I always say, man, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, amazing what they did. Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, cool. But this man and the people that was around him influenced the people to go back to, even if we don't believe we need to go back to Israel, but just how you did doing things like that. Learn from them. Closing out. I promise. We are supposed to stand on the shoulders of the men and the women before us, right? Whether they are righteous or unrighteous. Learn from both. Because guess what? Every messenger of the Most High, and I promise you I'm closing out on this one. Every messenger of the Most High tells you, whether in speech or in action, that you are to be greater than I. You're going to do greater things than I. Guess what? Chief Prince Zabulon told me I'm going to do greater than him. I'm like, huh? What? In my what's his name? What? You know, the man is
Lil Jon, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I understand what he's saying. It doesn't mean that I'm going to do greater in what he does, but I might have something that's different. I have my Isha. We have a great ministry together. And I pray that the Most High continues to bless it, and we produce fruit that can help our people. So learn from the bad, what we deem bad, and learn from the good and apply it to you, what you can take out of it, right? Spit out the bones, chew the meat, or spit out the bones and eat the vegetables. Eat the vegetables and apply it. So without further ado, you all, may the Most High bless and guard you all. We appreciate you. We love you. We pray that it's something that was said today. And Chief Prince, like, man, we went somewhere else. And that somewhere else, I believe, was greater than the topics, even though the topics was needed. And keep growing, you all. Stay in tune with the Most High. Read your scripture. Talk about it with your family day, evening and night, on your way, what the Torah says, and let it be in your mind and your heart. All right? Shalom, shalom.
Hallelujah, shalom.
Hallelujah.
I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. I see a dream, that dream is green. And I don't mean material things. Freedom to the land, child, woman, and man. As we take up for what we stand. Better days and better nights. As we stand and unite. We're one and the same. Why is it so hard not to point and to blame? Better sheet, get our houses in order and we'll see the peace. There are steps that we must take if we want to see.
I see my people rising, no more stopping us. Couple billion acres across America, us. The peace rose for the sake of us.
The sake of us, the sake of us.
I see my people rising, no more stopping us. Couple billion acres across America, us. The peace rose for the sake of us. No more failing, telling, being beneath. What a beautiful moment, and a sight I can't wait to see. Even if I miss it, at least I wasn't part of the mission. Changing lives of men, women, and children. All glory goes to He that causes us all to be. Oh, and if they're thinking we can, we show them that just as long as we stand, a monument. We the people can't be broken as long as we stay focused. I see my people rising, no more stopping us. A couple billion acres across America, us. The peace rose for the sake of us. For the sake of us. I see my people rising, no more stopping us. A couple billion acres across America, us. The peace rose for the sake of us. I see my people